IELTS exam, yeah. IELTS exam is basically uh, contains four major modules that are reading, and writing, reading, and listening, and third, writing, reading, listening, and speaking. Yeah,
Speaking.
these four. Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. These four are the
Tell
modules.
me, have you ever experienced any of the IELTS test before? For example, if you have seen the IELTS reading test, if you have seen IELTS listening, writing pattern, or might be the speaking method.
And yeah, I have a major problem with the writing test,
Oh,
and and reading test. Other Although listening and speaking are also difficult for me too, but yeah, reading is basically very difficult for me.
true. Reading is one of the most difficult module of IELTS.
Yeah,
Speaking and listening are a bit easy because somehow most of the word that we use in our day-to-day conversation, most of the words are in English. And listening
hmm,
is also good because we watch English content. In Pakistan, it's very common to watch English content, to be specific. So that is the reason that we are more comfortable with that. And writing, the institutions, the metric intermediate, they have done the injustice with us that
yeah,
whatever we were
exactly.
writing over there, we used to cram that. We used to memorize the content and then we were writing it down. We like, if we talk about my friend's essay, the whole class used to write down one same essay. If we were talking about
Exactly.
the first day at college, if we are talking about my aim in life, everybody was writing the same aim in life, same first day at college. So we were more into the memorization thing. But when it comes to IELTS writing, over here what they are gonna focus is that what is your own create, like it needs your own creative mindset, it needs your own critical thinking skills, it needs that you should be able to build up the story, you should be able to relate all the examples, experiences, opinions, and so many other things, ideas into that writing. So it means right now there is no content available for IELTS exam. But yeah, few sample paper, few sample tests are available. There are sample essays, sample answers are available, but there is no one specific book that is available that you can memorize and your exam would be from that book. It's not like that at all. I mean, speaking,
Mhm.
they can ask you anything. In writing, they can give you any topic to write. So it means like we have to build it, and we have to make ourselves habitual so that we are writing and we are speaking and we are making up the stories. And plus, when it comes to reading, they give us huge three passages, and those extensive passages contain, like every passage contains 13 questions, and eventually there are 40 questions in the reading. So what happens over there that it becomes really difficult to answer those questions, specifically in IELTS academic. So
And the most horrible thing about reading passages, they actually use that vocabulary which is not, I literally don't used to heard about it, and you literally don't know about that thing. And basically I tried two tests of reading these passages, were like scientific names and that related to science, and I only remember in my.
let me tell you one thing. The purpose of IELTS reading passages is not to understand the passage. That is not the ultimate goal. The task is not to understand that. They are going to confuse you with the difficult vocabulary words. But your task is that you have to, even if you're reading a statement and there comes one word which is really difficult, you have never heard before, you have never read before, you don't need to confuse yourself because of that. You just simply have to move on. There is a possibility that that word has no connection with the question, because the purpose over here is only to answer the question. That's it. I mean, might be there is a whole passage that you could not understand at all. It's totally fine. No one is going to ask you about the passage. No one. The purpose is only to answer the question. Secondly, they also use one thing. Now, whatsoever is the topic, the way you were relating it to biology, I was doing one IELTS reading with one batch even yesterday. So they were talking about the type of a dinosaur. So even the name was really difficult. Even I am unable to pronounce that name. It was a name with approximately 17 to 18 alphabets. So this much bigger name. What we did in the class, we started calling that Peterson. So instead of
Mhm.
calling that, whenever we were reading that, because that word was starting with PE, something like that. So I don't remember the exact name of that category. So what we did over there, we named it something that clicks us, something that we have heard already, so that we should not get confused every single time with this name. They are going to use the difficult names, they are going to use the difficult vocabulary words. In our classes, when we two will be doing reading together, I'll teach you. I mean, this is what we have to do. This is why you are here, because you find it difficult, and I have solutions, I have strategies, I have tips and all. So we two will be doing reading together. Like you will be holding your notes. I'll provide you all the material. So you would have to get the prints out of that. Or if you already have a material, I'm okay with that. I'm comfortable with that, because it's just about the strategy. It's just about the method. It's just about a technique. We can apply that technique into any reading passage. It's not like the content that I am providing is authentic and the content that you come up with is not authentic. Content could be from anywhere, because exam could be from anywhere. There is no one specific content related book available for the exam. But still, I will provide you the content. I will provide you all those IELTS book 1 till book 15. I'll provide you all those books. You would have to get prints by yourself, and every week we'll be practicing approximately 1 to 2 reading together. So over there, we are going to discuss that how exactly do we have to deal with those vocabulary words. Number one. Number two, it's not only about avoiding the vocabulary words, it's not only about skipping the vocabulary words, it's also about building the vocabulary for our own self. So, from the day one, when we will start doing reading, what we are going to do, every single word that we will find difficult, we are going to write it down in a notebook with the meaning. We'll search the meaning on the Google and we'll write it down over there. With the passage of time, we'll build the vocabulary bucket in our register. We'll have that. We'll keep revising that. And you know what? After 10 to 12 session, you will figure it out that they are now repeating the words.
Yeah.
Getting a point? So initially, it would be way, way difficult that they are using the word which are not very common, but then we will realize it that they are using only those 50 to 100 words that they are playing with to confuse the reader. This is what we are doing. So this is how we are going to do it. It's about the reading. Today, it's not going to be any task that we are doing. I'm going to tell you how everything is going to work the way I'm telling you about the reading. I'll tell you what reading we are going to do today. I'll be solving reading test with you. I'll be letting you know that how I take these exams, how I take these questions, and how I solve it. And plus, I'll also be listening to you that what pattern suits you. There are so many methods available to do IELTS reading. Every pattern has its own individuality. Every pattern, I mean, there is a possibility I might find one pattern difficult and you might find that easy, because we do have different reading experiences. We have different reading. We have done different sort of readings. I mean, like, of course, it can't be the same. I'm a different level. You are a different level. Your schooling was different. My schooling was different. Might be you are a book reader. I'm not a book reader. Might be I'm a book reader. You are not a book reader. So based on that,
Yeah.
it's different. Sorry. You might have heard about the skimming and scanning pattern. Have you ever heard about that in reading? Skimming and scanning says just because there is a lot of content given over there in the reading. I mean, I'm telling you right now, you can apply it by your own. There is so much content given over there. We do not need to use all of that, because the purpose is only to answer the question. Skimming says that you just keep reading out, and every single word that you find important, underline that. Underline the important words only. For instance,
Mm.
every single sentence contains only one or two words which are important, which are giving the real sense of the sentence. And all other are
Exactly.
the prepositions, is, them, or the, of. So what we are going to do, we are going to underline the important names, important dates, important nouns, each and everything like that. And if there is any connection with the question, so we are going to get to know that, all right, yeah, I have read this word over there in the third passage. I have underlined that. We'll look for the underlined words, if you're getting my point. This is called skimming,
Mm-hmm.
by underlining the important words. Just as you know, the skimmed milk is available in the market. Do you know what is skimmed milk?
No.
Low fat milk. Low fat milk is called skim.
Yeah.
Low fat milk means they have taken out all the non-essential parts of the milk, and only essential part is there that you can drink, and it does. We have to do the skimming thing in the reading. We will go through the passage. That is called skimming. And second thing is scanning. Skimming and scanning is all together. That we just scan the whole paper. We just scan the whole passage by reading it out without understanding. Just like we are watching a
Mhm.
movie, we are not paying attention to, like it's just going on, and somehow it's going to be in our short-term memory. So we are going to utilize that. Based on that, when we'll read the question, it's going to click us like this. Oh, yeah, I have read something like this, whatever is mentioned in the question over there in the first passage, might be in the third passage. Because the first important thing in the reading is by reading the question, we have to make a connection with the passage. We have to figure it out that where exactly the answer is hidden in the passage. If we
Mhm.
figure out that passage might be those 2 to 3 lines, by reading those 3 lines we'll try to understand only those 3 lines where we believe the answer is hidden over there. Then we are going to spend our time over there to answer the question. Okay? This is called skimming and scanning method. Now there is also another method that I never recommend. I only recommend to those students who are really really good reader, that you read out the whole passages then answer the question, because time is the real time pressure over there in the IELTS reading exam.
Exactly.
Because you have to do that in 60 minutes only.
And we
Extensive
have
passage.
three big passages.
Yeah, 3 extensive passages, and every passage you have to answer approximately, from every passage you have to answer approximately 14 questions. So in 20 minutes. 20 minutes is a very, very short time to solve one passage. It's only about the time, you know. If you get the open time exam, it's so easy, trust me, because it's somewhere hidden in the passages only. The answers are hidden over there. So this is how we do the second method. First method was skimming and scanning. Second method is you go through it all. Third method is that you can read out the first 2 lines of the passages and last two
Mhm.
lines of the passages of every paragraph. Read out the first 2 lines of the paragraph and last 2 lines of the paragraph, and you will get to know that what this passage is all about. Is it about the history? Is it about the revolution? Is it about, like, what exactly this passage is all about? You're just going to get to know about. Same as in reading. There is a passage, just read out the first 2 lines and the last 2 lines, and you'll figure it out that, all right, this passage is about this thing. This is the passage, this is the method 3. And the method 4 says you read out the first 2 lines of the passage and last 2 lines of the passage, and for the remaining part, do skimming and scanning. Got it? That underline the important word. So this is about the reading. It's not only like there are 4 methods, there are, might be hundreds of methods available. Number 2, there comes, and plus we'll be building vocabulary the way I told you. And if the vocabulary word is not important, we'll learn how to create a meaning by applying the logical thinking skill to that word. Now, I mean, I don't know the meaning of this word, but what could be, by understanding the sense of the line, sense of the sentence. So we'll be developing that thing as well in the reading. Number 2 is the writing. The way you said you find writing the most difficult one. That depends. Either you are going to appear in the computer based exam or the paper based.
You're asking me
I'm
that?
asking you.
No, I think paper based is good for
Yeah.
me
Yeah, paper
because my
based.
typing speed is very low. Sure.
And, and remember, there are 2 things that we never do for our own self. We always do for other people. Number 1, writing. We never write for anything for our own self. We always write for a reader. We never speak for our own self. We always speak for a listener. So it
Mhm.
means if you're writing something, your reader should be able to understand it. I have seen these examples. There are few students who write spellings in a different way. For example, they write T in a way that it seems like, let's suppose it seems like H. So they usually claim, I write it that way. No, 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 that is not the answer. You write it that way, it doesn't matter. How reader is going to perceive it. It should be easy for the reader to understand it. So this is also going to, we are going to work on, because your examiner is not going to waste his time on your writing skills. If he doesn't get a word, It means if he doesn't get a word, so if he doesn't get a word, so what exactly he's going to do? He'll just simply move on and will give you less bands. So we do not have to pinch him, disturb him, irritate him with the writing style. So we'll be working on all these things, and plus I'll be teaching you a few of the vocabulary words, few of the expression that are really, really useful in every essay or might be in every part one task. And that is about the writing. Is it clear? Any question related to that?
No, thank you.
Okay,
Everything is clear.
that's great. Moving on, the third thing comes speaking. So in speaking, we will be practicing the way IELTS speaking exam is conducted, which means I'll be asking you the question. There are three parts in speaking. Part one is about the general question they ask you about your life. For example, how often do you go morning walk? Questions like these. And who do you go
Mhm.
with? How much time do you spend over there? These are the scheduled questions. Your examiner already has those questions on the paper, and he will only be asking you these questions. This is about the part one. In part two, they give you a question and you have to deliver a speech for 2 minutes at least. So it's going to be a
Mm.
speech session. That's the part two. So over there, they will give you a question. There is
For how long? Two
yeah,
minutes or
for
five
2 minutes.
minutes?
For 2 minutes. For 2 minutes. They will give you a question, and that question will also contain some sub question. There would be some sub questions as well. So it means, for example, mention the book you have read quite recently. From where did you get that book? Who did you read that book with? Why did you like that book? These are the sub questions. So they will ask you sub questions as well. Your task is, and plus they will give you 1 minute that you can think about the content as well. After that 1 minute, you have to speak for 2 minutes, and they will be recording that. They will be recording the speaking session. But there is one more thing. They're not recording it just because they have to listen to that again. So do not get a pressure that they are recording it. They are recording it just because they want to have a proof. That's it. If somebody claims your IELTS exam only, then they're going to play it out. So that recording should never become a pressure for you. So that is about the part two. I mean, part one, general questions related to your life. Part two, a speech session. Part three is a conversation part in which if they ask you a question and you give them an answer, from that answer, they're going to create another question, a counter statement, a counter question. They're going to confuse you with your information. But you
Mhm.
just simply need to remember this is not the test of your general knowledge. This is not the test of your political might be information that you have in your mind.
Information.
This is not the test of your IQ. This is the test of your English. So it means every story that you're giving them, every story that you're sharing with them, that might not be true, but it's fine. You might be making up a story. That's fine. They are there to assess your English only. So they are going to confuse you with the counter question and whatsoever information that you are sharing, but that should be, of course, should be related to the question. I'm not saying that it can't be go beyond the topic. It should be related to the topic. You have to follow that pathway, but you can create the content that is allowed there. Now, speaking exam specifically and also in the writing. That is about the speaking, Jason. Moving on to the last part, that is the last module, that is the listening. For listening, I'm afraid I won't be able to do listening with you. I'll give you listening task. You will do it by your own. You will share your results with me. And on every single mistake that you will make, I'll give you a lesson. I'll give you a trick. For example, in IELTS listening, there are different type of the question. There are MCQs, there are diagrams, there are fill in the blanks, there are matching columns. Every
Mhm.
single type of the question has its own different level of instructions. I'll provide you those instructions during the class. And I'll teach you the method. For example, for reading, we are going to do it together. For writing, you will do it in the homework. You will share your picture with me, and I'll be letting you know if there would be anything to improve. In speaking, we'll be practicing the way like we are connected right now. Only today it's the teacher centered class. It's only for today that I'm speaking a lot. From next session to onward, you are going to be speaking for the whole of the session most of the time, because it's going to be a student centered class. It's not like I just simply have to prove you that how good I am in reading, how good I am in writing. It's not about myself, it's about you. So you have to speak, you have to share your writing, you have to tell me how you take your reading. So it's going to be the student-centered class from now to onward, from next session to onward. But anyways, any question in the IELTS pattern, IELTS exam, or anything related to that?
No, I think everything is cleared for now.
Hmm.
If I have any question, I'll let you know.
All right.
And Saturday is
Is
exam
the
day.
mock test. Is
Oh,
the mock test.
oh.
Mock test means I'll send you the content and I'll give you one specific time that your test starts now, and you have to submit your answers within 2 hours and 30 minutes. So based on that, like that would be considered as the exam. That's not a class, that's a mock test that you have to uh, evaluate yourself. I mean, for example, after 1 week, you will evaluate yourself exactly where do you stand. Let's suppose you score 5 bands in the first week. Okay, not a problem. It's just the beginning. Second week, what's your score now? At 6. All right, you're improving. So at the end of every week, you will assess yourself. It would be more like assessment for your own self, that at what level I was standing in the beginning and where do I stand now. And on the basis of
Mhm.
that, every single week we'll be conducting the mock test and we'll be observing how we are improving.